coronavirus has hit the Australian economy harder than any other event in the last 100 years. Between February and May, more than 2 million Australians either lost their jobs or saw their hours reduced. Now, the official unemployment rate stands at 7.4%, but the effective unemployment rate is at 11.3% when you take into account those who have left the workforce or those who are on 0 hours. As we stand here today, 5 million Victorians are in lockdown. And it's against the backdrop of that very difficult and challenging economic environment that we are announcing the extension of JobKeeper. JobKeeper 2.0, together with the extension of the coronavirus JobSeeker supplement, will assist Australians right around the country. As the Prime Minister alluded to, Treasury undertook a review of the JobKeeper program at the midway point. It was legislated for 6 months and they undertook a review at the midway point. They found that JobKeeper, which is the single largest economic measure that any Australian government has ever taken, has supported some 960,000 businesses and 3.5 million workers. It comprises around 30% of the pre-COVID private sector workforce. And Treasury's review found that JobKeeper met its 3 primary objectives, namely to save jobs and businesses, to maintain the formal connection between employers and employees, and to provide income support. It cited ABS data that 44% of businesses on JobKeeper said that JobKeeper influenced their decision to keep their staff on. It has a number of cameos from various businesses on JobKeeper who have said that the JobKeeper program is why they remain open today. Importantly, the review also records females they made up 47.1% of the recipients under JobKeeper compared to 44.9% of the private sector workforce, and that JobKeeper helped stabilise the loss of jobs across the economy. In the 4 weeks to mid-April, payroll jobs decreased by 8.1%, and after JobKeeper, jobs started to stabilise. So today, as the Prime Minister has said, we're extending the JobKeeper program for another 6 months until the 28th of March 2021. It comes at an estimated cost of around $16 billion. JobKeeper 2.0 will provide a 2-tiered payment at a new rate depending on the hours worked. It was a conscious decision to introduce the flat $1,500 payment as it enabled us to get money to people who needed it most as fast as possible. However, one of the consequences of the flat payment, equivalent to the minimum wage, was that some recipients were receiving more under JobKeeper than they were pre-COVID. The 2-tiered payment better reflects the pre-COVID income of these recipients. From the 28th of September until the 3rd of January next year, the 2 payments will be $1,200 and $750, with the lower payment for employees who work less than 20 hours a week in the month of February pre-COVID. From the 4th of January to the 28th of March, the 2 payments will be $1,650. To be eligible for the initial phase of JobKeeper, businesses had to see a reduction in turnover of 30 or 50%, depending on their size, and charities a 15% reduction. These tests remain the same, but they will be reapplied at the end of September and again at the start of January. Employers will need to demonstrate that they've met the relevant decline in turnover in both the June and September quarters to be eligible for the JobKeeper payment in the December quarter, and employers will need to demonstrate that they have met the relevant decline in each of the previous 3 quarters ending on the 31st of December 2020 to remain eligible for the payment in the March quarter 2021. As the economy gradually improves, Treasury expects that the number of JobKeeper recipients will reduce substantially, with around 1.4 million people remaining eligible in the December quarter 2020 and 1 million in the March quarter 2021. We know that the economic pain caused by COVID will end, and that many businesses now struggling will be viable once again. And this is why we're extending the payment to buy time to get businesses and employees to the other side. In conclusion, JobKeeper is the largest single economic measure any government in Australia's history has undertaken. It's come at an extremely difficult time, but the Australian public know that the Morrison government has their backs.